going to show you what happens when you don't pay. Ow. Hi everybody, welcome to the Winter Sauce Podcast. It is April 27th, 2025, and this is Winter Solace, Cosmic Weapon of Thule, and here we go. Now, rather than replay or re-add into this a segment about me leaving the Black Vault, seeing as how I had a few people that knew me in person say that they saw that and that it was painful to watch for them. And I also looked, that's our most viewed video on the channel right now, and I would much rather have what is the most viewed video be something of a little more positive note. And the only thing I'm going to really say on that subject any further is I made this now. It's the 88 Chamber Shaolin, which is a Telegram channel. It's https://wintersauce-chat. Or if you go into the Winter Solace Telegram channel, there is a pinned post. It's a link to this. And I will say that I like this much better than a forum because I've had it for like 2 or 3 weeks now. I think it's been about 2 weeks. And there's people contributing to it, and I'll wake up with more correspondence in there than I can even read some days. Which is nice, and it allows for people to just be able to discuss music and other stuff affiliated with Winter Solace in a forum type setting without all the bullshit and the drama, because and there is a demand for that. And I honestly think that if you are if you use Telegram and you're somebody that has a need to communicate directly with people in a platform type of setting, I would recommend that you do this. We have a WhatsApp one too, but that's not really set up properly. And I think there's also an option on Instagram to make a chat now, but I believe you have to pay something to use it. But I will eventually be looking into all of that when I deal with all the other tech support stuff. Would you believe that I've been... Okay, most of Friday was spent, and a little bit on Saturday. I get an email, okay, from some marketing person somewhere. Oh, your service will be suspended in 30 days unless you schedule a call with the marketing executive. And this is for some tax widget that we use in the web shop that it only affects a very, very small number of orders so that those orders can have the proper taxes charged on them. And this is a service that my web shop will do for free. But somehow this plugin enabled itself, installed itself, or something. I remember looking into it when I was building the shop, but it just turned itself on. Been using it forever. Didn't even know we were using it. And the company that owns it is just completely deer in the headlights, bewildered. 3 people contact me from this company about this, one of whom called me while I was eating lunch. They can't understand that if you have a product that people don't even know that they're using, they don't even know the intricacies of what it does, it's very obviously established for something larger than their business. And that, again, they can get it done for free with minimal effort. Minimal effort. It goes just a phone call to store support. You're not going to pay $2,000 a year for that service. I do not know what universe that makes sense in, but I'm not, that's a level of business that we will not be in. But that was that. That was fun. But yeah, 88 Chamber Shaolin. Everybody who wants to join can join, and I moderate this, and it's a safe environment, and that's what I'm gonna get to. There's no trapped in this digital avatar, digital void, people being gangsters, everything else. That's all done. There's none of that. It's just conversation with no bullshit. And I found out about this in there. Now, if you go to the Metal Archives page now, it's not there, but somebody And this person is a patriot, by the way. I had to edit, for the people who are watching this on YouTube, we obviously had to go in and redact a lot of this. But, somebody who is a patriot, whoever this is, I don't know who this is, got banned from their forum or something because they didn't go with the woke-ass JW Kool-Aid that's there, and decided to just go and just put the truth out there about a certain date in January and how the guy of Iced Earth was mixed up in that. And, sir, whoever did this, I don't know where you are or what your motivations are. I don't care. But you, sir, are a patriot. I salute you. We salute you. And if you ever build your own metal database website, somebody give me a call, because Metal Archives has been politically motivated for years. I mean, you can just go find this. Death Metal Underground Metal Archives Loser Mod outed. You can just Google this. If you Google this and you go and you read all of this, I've been pointing to this article for years. Complete bias. And then there's, of course, their smear campaign against me that they've been doing forever, where they just took that Ethiopian NSBM prank and just distorted it into a life of its own. Just make up all kinds of just fake stuff. I mean, I've said this for years, you know. People want to make fake Winter Solace and go out there and have it say things and say that those are the things that I said for no reason. I'm not important enough to justify doing that, but whatever. Anyway, now, well, I'm not going to talk about the Black Vault anymore. I am going to use that as a segue, because at the date and time that I left there, that period of time, and when I got sick with all the online vitriol and abuse just vacating my body, there was a weird energy over the state of Wisconsin. And if you're watching this and listening to this in Wisconsin, I have no doubt that there was some weird shit going on in your life during that time. And now we have all these kinds of storms and stuff over Madison now, and the wrath of God. All of that. So, interesting time. But I did want to use this as a segue to talk about something else. And that is the far-right Special Needs Division, which is the bulk of what this segment is about. And this is a concept that I've been talking about for years. And it's just getting more fleshed out. But, okay. This broke around that time. This was a teenager in Waukesha, Wisconsin, who was going to kill his parents for money, or he did. It was going to use this money to fuel an extremist view as part of some anti-Trump conspiracy. And he was a part of the O9A, Order of the Nine Angels, extremist, anti-Christian crap ideology that's the feds. And this is the far-right Special Needs Division. This is them in full force. He was 17. His brain was not fully developed. Your brain don't fully develop till you're like 23, okay? And that's when you can rent a car. And I'm in my mid-30s, and I only now think that my brain is at like the proper developmental cognitive level. But this guy was 17. According to federal documents, shared all of that. They also found documents that reference a self-described manifesto, because there's always a manifesto. You gotta, you know. Which described a call to assassinate Trump, make and to detonate bombs and carry out other terrorist acts. In the 3-page manifesto, the goal of the assassination attempt was to start a political revolution and promote white supremacy. Never mind that Trump has been, you know, the far right's preferred presidential candidate compared to all of the other presidential candidates ever, even if he is Zion Don. The document said they also found messages in Russian, of course. Like, codename Pale Horse. Apparently the guy that set all that up, whatever that guy was talking about, the guy who was responsible for all that was supposedly some Russian Biden DOJ cutout. All this bleeds back to. And if you haven't looked into that guy and what that guy was talking about, codename Pale Horse. I mean, I forgot that guy's name. I mean, he was on Joe Rogan. And I'm going to buy his book. But that guy was on point to this because he interacted with these people because he's, you know, in the FBI. And he's paid to go and infiltrate stuff. And he just said it's all dudes LARPing online. And when you go meet him in person at their fucking, you know, incel gay orgy that's not an orgy of this, like, pseudo-masculinity or whatever that they think that they have. It's all just dudes with no upper body strength that have not been educated about the real world and have never been in the real world and had a life. Okay. Like, a great idea for a drama movie would be for one of these incels or whatever that's going to, you know, just stockpile all this stuff to go do all this stuff. For him to realize that in order to do this, he has to have money to fund this activity. And rather than do what this fucking mentally imbalanced person did, okay, he goes out and, you know, gets this dreaded thing, this scary thing. It's called a job. And then he has to do something that is known as work. And in the process of doing that, he then learns the lessons of the real world and then interacts with other people that he has to establish connections with. And all of a sudden, he has a purpose other than sitting in his bedroom, watching porn for 4 hours a day, and spend the rest of the day just pretending he doesn't do that, and planning all this stuff, and blaming Zog or the society or something that is a non-existent entity, completely non-existent, for all of his problems. In an excerpt from the manifesto, the guy specifically states that assassinating president would create chaos and start the hypothetical revolution. Okay, so he's an accelerationist too, which is even more stupid. As to why specifically during it's pretty obvious being perhaps president and perhaps vice president bringing some chaos. You know, and he had drones as weapons and all this stuff. And then he killed his parents as it appeared to be an effort to obtain the financial means and autonomy necessary to do this. Even though, yeah, somebody's going to notice that. And then, of course, he's going to go to Ukraine, online chat with the Ukrainian user. You know, and he wanted to move there, you know, in the middle of the war, and then he can go and, I mean, you know, at least he's, you know, at least unlike all the other leftists that are just virtue signaling, at least he wants to go to Ukraine and fight in that crap. Okay. And we all know what I'm describing is. This is just one story out of how many that I am describing. And this is part of why I like that Telegram chat because it's a space where people can interact with people that have, you know, similar political views as themselves, but a more mature and sedate perspective, so they don't go down the rabbit holes and the things that lead you to this. Because this guy here, this is a disgrace. This is nothing. This is a complete and absolute disgrace. Okay? Because all these far-right special needs division movements are the same thing. Okay, you're going to go out and you're going to fight for racial issues and be an exemplary example of that while living out of a vehicle, traveling from state to state, with no concernable means of being able to be employed, working as a vocal coach that nobody wants, okay? And then you go, and there's a level to these groups. I mean, that the FBI, I mean, it's the feds, because these are all just, there's always a fed somewhere, and then whoever they're surveilling, and then all the mentally ill people that just follow all of that. And, okay, and everybody says, oh, it's the FBI, they're just framing stuff. Okay. I'm just gonna point out a fact here. And this is important. Okay? If you're not doing dumb illegal stuff and just living a normal life, you can't get framed for shit, because you're not in an avenue to get framed. Because there's, the real world that's like, I'm going to go with just 98% of everything. Okay? And then there's, 99.7% of just all of existence, everything. Space, universe, all of this. Okay? And then of the remaining 0.3%, 0.0005 of that percentile, very, very, very small, is the feds wrangling all this and infiltrating all these people and getting into all this. There's that. There's that where that takes place. And then, so that's like, and then the rest of the percentage, like I could get a thing and draw this, but I'm not going to. I'm not going to. Okay. Okay. That's oblivion. That's just a failure of the Chilean consciousness. You are completely out of the levels of consciousness. You will not ascend. You are completely disconnected from the Creator. There is no hope for you. You are completely mentally ill. And you are completely gone. And even the mentally ill trans people that are in the middle of all their transitions, just changing their gender every day and marrying their car and all that stuff, even those people look at these guys and just laugh. Okay. Okay, when you're at that level, and that's where a lot of this, far-right special needs division stuff goes into. Okay. You get people in those groups or whatever. They get three, or they all get a spot somewhere, and then they just stockpile stuff for the day of the awakening, or whatever the fuck it's called now. That's never going to happen. Ever. Not a viable scenario. Anywhere close, because it takes a long time for the demographics to change. And yes, are white people, are there less and less of them compared to all of the other races? Yes. And eventually, they won't exist anymore. Whites are dying. It's going to be bred out of society through globalization and everything else. And that's very, very far off when that's happening. It will not happen in my lifetime, probably. It will not happen for the foreseeable future. But it will eventually, through statistics and series of population, get to a point where there'll be maybe 20 white people or something. Okay? And then maybe they'll be able to do the uprising. And it's just going to get squashed out. It'll be the saddest thing ever, and it's just done. But, so you get the people that are at that level hoping that that'll take place, that state of mentality, and then there'll be a group of them, and then one of them will just convert to Islam and kill the other two. Okay, and at that point, when that is happening, There is zero viability of your political movement ever gaining any kind of traction. The feds aren't going to hijack it to stage stuff. They're just going to go, we're just going to take everybody to this jail, and this is just done, and it's a risk to society, and lock all of that away. Okay? There is no viable universe where going down the roads that lead to this make any sense. All right, we're gonna pause this, and then we're probably gonna have to put this one on Odyssey. So, that's that.
Будет дух мой.